Hey everyone, it's Lexi. So in today's video I'll be sharing you some of the books that I purchased over the month of June and July. And a lot of this was taking advantage of the amazing book sales that were going on kind of in the second half of July. So I took advantage of a lot of those sales to get some kind of hardbacks that I've had my eye on. Some of them I got from my local bookstore. So yeah, I have some books that are kind of all over in terms of genre. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to start out with some cooking books that I got. These first two are ones that I got when I went to Barnes & Noble with my boyfriend. We were kind of looking around at some of the cookbooks, and these are the ones that we had our eye on, especially because they were buy one get one half off. It was a pretty good deal considering how expensive cookbooks could be. So we do like to bake a lot together, so we were kind of trying to find something that had a good variety of desserts to make. And then this one was a bar that he went to in San Francisco that he was familiar with. And so this first one is Smuggler's Cove, and it is basically exotic cocktails, rum, and the cult of tiki. And so it has a bunch of different rum based recipes, so we're actually gonna try to make one tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. Editing Lexi will say how I felt about it, but yeah, it just looks like it's gonna be so much fun. There's so many different recipes, and just learning about the different types of rums will be a lot of fun. I'm very much a rum girl, so I'm very excited about this. But yeah, he went to this I guess rum bar in San Francisco, and yeah, he was it was really good. So they have a bunch of the staple rum cocktails and then some other kind of fun ones as well. So we're just gonna mix our way through this book, which is gonna be a lot of fun, especially because like I said, I love my rum. And lastly, we ended up getting A Dessert Person by Claire Saffitz, and this one also was one that my boyfriend picked out, and it just has a good variety of different dessert recipes, some that are a little bit more challenging, some that are beginner friendly. They have sweet and savory, which will be a lot of fun. I think we're gonna save this one for the fall, just because there are quite a bit of pastry, and we've never we've done pie crust, but we haven't really done anything else like that. But yeah, like I said, we like our desserts, and this one had a good variety of sweet, savory, and it has things it gives you the different basically the difficulty level. So for this one is preserved lemon meringue cake, and the difficulty is 4, challenging due to making an Italian meringue. So I like how it kind of has it kind of tells you the expertise level it needs to be at, and then also things to do ahead, and gives you little tips, which I think will be fun. So this will keep us busy for a little bit. And while the sale was going on, I went back to get a couple more cookbooks just because they were on sale. And so the first one is one of the Great British Baking Show's cookbooks. This one is A Bake for All Seasons, and it has a bunch of different recipes, either that they've done for technicals, ones that certain contestants have did, and that's our favorite show that we watch together. So I thought it'd be fun to do some of our favorite favorite contestants different recipes, or ones that are just included in there. So like I said, I thought this would be a lot of fun. And like I said, and this one, I like the cookbooks that are broken down into seasons. I think that's kind of fun to do. So you can do, especially things that are fruit heavy, you can do things that are seasonal. So I really like how this one also is kind of split into the different seasons, which is good. So like I said, I think this will be more of our fall winter one as well. And lastly, continuing on with the kind of cookbook theme, this is the last cookbook, and it is Paul Hollywood's Bake. This one just came out actually, so I was really excited to kind of get it half off, which is a great deal. But this one is very much kind of bread heavy, which we haven't really ventured. We've done pastry, but we haven't really done any bread. So this does have a few desserts, kind of the classic ginger loaves, carrot cakes, some other desserts, but it also is kind of heavy on kind of certain breads, which I think will be fun to do. Like I said, I've never really made bread before, so I thought this would be something to give us a challenge, something to do, something to step outside our comfort zone. So yeah, I thought this one would be good. apparently he knows his bread very well, so I think it will keep us busy for a little bit. But again, like I said, because these cookbooks never go on sale, when I saw that it was, you could get these buy one get one 50% off, I was like, okay, because I already had my eye on this one anyways. Next up, these are books that I find that people either love or hate, and I'm very curious to see how I feel about these. So I ended up getting Normal People and Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. These two were the only ones that I could get in paperback right now, so I got these. And they're both have, I think, Hulu TV shows, so I definitely wanted to read this before watching the TV shows, but like I said, I've heard really mixed things about this. People either love her or hate her writing, so I'm very curious to see how I fall within this kind of polar opposite spectrums for how people review her books. I know these are very popular with like Hot Girl Summer book recommendations, so we shall see. But okay, I'll read the synopsis for Normal People. Connell and Mary Ann grew up in the same small town, but the similarities end there. At school, Connell is popular and well liked, while Mary Ann is a loner. But when the two strike up a conversation, awkward but electrifying, something life-changing begins. Normal People is the story of mutual fascination, friendship, and love. It takes us from that first conversation to the years beyond, in the company of two people who try to stay apart but find they can't. I think this one, it deals with people who come from very different socioeconomic backgrounds as well, and just kind of how those worlds collide. So like I said, I've heard like mixed things, but I'm very curious to see what all the hype and ruckus is about with this author. And then this one I wanted to read particularly so I could watch the TV show as well, because I know Taylor Swift's boyfriend Joe Alwyn is in there, so I've never seen anything that he's been in, so I'm just very curious. And this one says, Frances is a cool-headed and darkly observant young woman, vaguely pursuing a career in writing while studying in Dublin. Her best friend is the beautiful and endlessly self-possessed Bobby. At a local poetry performance one night, they meet a well-known photographer, and as the girls are then gradually drawn into her world, Frances is reluctantly impressed by the older woman's sophisticated home and handsome husband, Nick. But however amusing Frances and Nick flirtation seems at first, it begins to give way to a strange and then painful intimacy. So I think this one, like I said, sounds very interesting. I want to know what all the hype is about, so yeah, I definitely want to kind of read these ones kind of throughout the year. Next up, I thought this one would just be a fun fall read, and it just gives off kind of like witchy autumnal vibes, and it is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. And so this one, like I said, I'm just very excited about fall. For what usually I'm not very like excited for fall, but I've been wanting, like, there's a few like autumnal themed books that I've been holding off reading until it gets to like September, October. So I think I'm just excited that I can kind of read those where the atmosphere kind of matches the book. And this one is, I feel like I haven't read a lot of books with witches in a while, so this one I'm really excited about. And it says, for centuries witches have maintained the climate, but now their control is faltering as the atmosphere becomes more erratic, the storms more destructive. All hope lies with Clara, a once-in-a-generation Everwitch whose magic is tied to every season. In autumn, Clara wants nothing to do with her power. It's wild and volatile, and the price of her magic, losing the one she loves, is too high despite the need to control the increasingly dangerous weather. In winter, the world is on the precipice of disaster. Fires burn, storms rage, and Clara accepts that she's the only one who can make a difference. In spring, she falls for Sang, the witch training her. As her magic grows, so do her feelings for him, until she's terrified Sang will be the next one she loses. In summer, Clara must choose between her power and her happiness, her duty and the people she loves before she loses Sang, and her magic and the world that is thrust into chaos. I think this sounds really interesting. I don't know if it's like kind of tying in global warming with how the weather and like climate has become very erratic, so I'm very curious to see. Like I said, I haven't read a lot of like witchy stuff in a while, so I'm very excited for this one. This one is what I've seen all the time whenever I go to Barnes and Nobles. They always have these out, and it's been catching my eye, and I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna pick this one up. I've heard like relatively good things about this one. I'm a little nervous because the last like fantasy romance book that I read I hated. So I'm somewhat little bit nervous about this one, and it is For the Wolf by Hannah Whitten. And again, this is another kind of fantasy romance novels, and it says, as the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose: to be sacrificed to the wolf in the Wilderwood in the hope he'll return the world's captured gods. Red is almost relieved to go. Plagued by a dangerous power she can't control, she knows that at least in the Wilderwood she can't hurt those she loves again. But the legend lies. The wolf is a man, not a monster. Her magic is a calling, not a curse, and if she doesn't learn how to use it, the monsters the gods have become will swallow the Wilderwood and her wood whole. But yeah, I think this one sounds interesting. It's kind of a play off of Little Red Riding Hood, and we'll see. I don't know if this is good. It sounds like it's going to be a lot more like politically focused, which I really kind of enjoy, like politically focused fantasy, or like politics play a role in kind of how everything plays out, or like basically everything is heavily influenced by the political system there, which sounds very interesting. So like I said, I'm a little bit nervous just because I didn't have a very good experience with the last like fantastical romance novel that I read, but I'm hoping I'm gonna like this one a little bit more. Next up, this is a book that I've been wanting to get for a while, and my dad is Greek, but I haven't read a lot of like Greek mythology. Like I never learned any of that in school, and like I never have read a lot of Greek like mythology retellings, and this is the one that I feel like is probably the hyped the most, and it is Circe by Madeline Miller. I'm sure this book is you guys are familiar with. It's very popular on kind of multiple book social media outlets, and yeah, this is the one that has been catching my eye the most. I think this is also one where it's like slightly kind of witchy as well, and it says, in the house of Helios, god of the sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. But Circe is a strange child, not powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power, the power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes Circe to a deserted island where she hones her occult craft and crosses paths with many of the most famous figures in all of mythology, including the Minotaur, Daedalus and his doomed son, Icarus, sorry, the murderous Medea, and of course wily Odysseus. But there's a danger too, for a woman who stands alone, and Circe unwillingly draws the wrath of both man and god, ultimately finding herself pitted against one of the most terrifying and vengeful of the Olympians. To protect what she holds dear, Circe must summon her strength and choose, once and for all, whether she belongs with the god she is born from, or the mortals she has come to love. So like I said, I haven't really read anything like this, so I'm very curious to see how I feel about this one. Like I said, I haven't read any retellings like this, and I'm not familiar with the original Odyssey or anything related to kind of her story in mythology, but I've heard really great things about this author. I've heard she has really great writing, so yeah, I'm just really excited for this one. Next up, this is a new release that I was really excited for, and it is Listen to Me by Tess Gerritsen, and this is the newest installment in the Resilient Isles series. In preparation for this book coming out, basically for the first half of 2022, I reread this series, and when I read the series the first time, I was 15, so obviously 12 years has passed since then, so it was really interesting revisiting these series, like these books, as an adult. And this one, I guess, is her newest one. I thought she was kind of done with the series after the book that the latest book came out in 2017, so I'm happy this one came out. And this one again follows kind of a collection where we're first introduced to a kind of string of murders that have taken place that aren't really connected. It starts out with this woman who was a nurse that just kind of out of the blue is found murdered in her home, and Jane kind of has to investigate, and this leads her down a path where these and seemingly other murders are somehow connected, but it's not very clear how. But yeah, I like this one. Like I said, I don't want to say too much about this one because it's kind of spoilery, but what I really liked about this one too is that we also get Angela's perspective in here. Usually these books are kind of, at least the newer ones, have like the killer's perspective, or one of the victims, Jane, Mara, and then that's kind of it. But this time around we get also Angela, who is Jane's mom's perspective as well, which I thought added a lot of fun. It was interesting kind of seeing her internal narrative, which is like interesting because we only kind of see her from an outside perspective through Jane's eyes. So I was very excited that we got to see kind of more of an Angela perspective, which made this a lot more fun. This next book is one that I got from my local bookstore, and I really was drawn in by this cover, and it is the Birdcage by Eve Chase. Like, I think that cover is so beautiful, but also the synopsis sounded really interesting as well. It says, on a remote windswept cliffside in Cornwall, England, sits Rock Point, the seaside home of the Finch family. For years, Lauren, Cat, and Flora came together there every summer to spend time with their father, swim in the ice-cold ocean, and walk the high wire of their unusual sisterhood until it snapped. 20 years later, they lead wildly different and separate lives, but an unexpected summons to Rock Point pushes the half-sisters together again. It's the first time they've dared return since they sat for their father's most celebrated painting, Girls in Birdcage, the claustrophobic summer of the total solar eclipse. And there is someone in the shadows watching their every move, someone who remembers the girls in the painting and what they did. So I think that just sounds really interesting. Like, the tagline here says, a slow burn family drama with a killer kick. And I feel like that's what I really like. I like kind of the slow burn kind of mystery where something happens in the past that is catching up to the characters in the present. Like, I always love that setting, and I thought this one, I haven't read anything by this author, but this one sounded just a lot of fun. Like I said, I first was intrigued by this beautiful cover, but then I read the synopsis and I was like, okay, this one sounds pretty good. So yeah, like I said, this one sounds like a good kind of fall winter read. This is another book that I'm super excited about, and it is Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro, and this is one that me and my boyfriend have been looking at for a while too, and it just sounds like it's like a historical fantasy, and it just sounds like a lot of fun. So it says, England, 1882. In Victorian London, two children with mysterious powers are hunted by a figure of darkness, a man made of smoke. 16-year-old Charlie, despite a brutal childhood in Mississippi, doesn't have a scar on him. His body heals itself whether he wants it to or not. Marlowe, a foundling from a railway freight car, shines with a strange bluish light. He can melt or mend flesh. When a jaded female detective is recruited to escort them to safety, all three begin a journey into the nature of difference and belonging and the shadowy edges of the monstrous. What follows is a story of wonder and betrayal from the gaslit streets of London and the wooden theaters of Tokyo to the eerie estate outside Edinburgh, where other children with gifts, the talents they have been gathered. There the world of the dead and the living. There the world of the dead and the world of the living threaten to collide, and as secrets within the institution unfurl, Marlowe, Charlie, and the rest of the talents will discover the truth about their abilities and the nature of what is stalking them. That the worst monsters sometimes come bearing the sweetest gifts. I just thought this one sounded really interesting. Again, I kind of thought this would be a good like fall winter read. It is fairly long. It's over 600 pages, so I feel like this one will take me a while to read, but it just sounds super interesting. I feel like I haven't read a lot of historical fantasies in a while, so this one just sounds really intriguing. And lastly, I have Unlikely Animals by Annie Hartnett, and this is another one where the cover really intrigued me, and when I was checking out at Barnes & Noble, she's like, oh, I really like this book. So like I said, I'm really excited about this one. So it says, natural-born healer Emma Starling once had big plans for her life, but she's lost her way. A medical school dropout, she came back to small-town Everton, New Hampshire, to care for her father, who is dying from mysterious brain disease. Clive Starling has been hallucinating small animals as well as having visions of the ghost of a long-dead naturalist, Ernest Harold Baines, who once known for letting wild animals live in his house. The ghost has been giving Clive some ideas on how to spend his final days. Emma arrives home knowing she must face her dad's illness, her mother's judgment, and her younger brother's recent stint in rehab, but she's unprepared to find that her former best friend from high school is missing, with no one bothering to look for her. The police say they don't spend much time looking for drug addicts. Emma's dad is the only one convinced the young woman might still be alive, and Emma is hopeful he might be right. Someone could look for her at least. Emma isn't really trying to be a hero, but somehow she and her father bring about just the kind of miracle the town needs. And I think this one just sounds really interesting. Like I said, I do like family dramas centered around kind of like some mystery aspect. And yeah, I just thought this cover was really cute. It's what originally drew me in. But yeah, I like kind of this like mystery aspect with hallucinated animals. So yeah, this one just sounded really unique and fun. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, or if you have any new books that you're excited about. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.